A very warm welcome to our viewers today in our literary program. Today with us we have a very young artist who's just 17 years old and pursuing her 12th in Edmonds. She at such a young age have already published books and has been awarded under 18 State Writers Award. A very warm welcome, Divinia Mercy, to our program today, and it's a pleasure to have such a young person in our panel today.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I am truly honored to be here today.
So coming, a lot of our young viewers are hopefully watching today, and our parents too. So it is so inspiring that at a young age you have already been awarded and you have already published. So could you just share with our viewers today how your journey started as a young person into, literary work?
Okay. So starting off, I would like to say that writing is a food to my soul. So I love writing. I write poetry, I write essays, I write articles in newspapers. I started writing when I was in 2nd grade. Our school held a writing competition and we were given a short duration to prepare for the competition. So I was awarded, and that was when my passion started growing for writing. But after that there was a pause where I've diverted my interest to other activities like sports. I used to play basketball, but due to my recent injury I could not play anymore. So there was a little pause in this journey of writing. But then when I was in 9th grade, writing is calling me again. So there was a time in my life where I was so lost, I didn't know where to turn to, and I feel like I was standing in the middle of a forest. No one was there around me, although I have my friends, my family, but there used to be times in life where you would feel like no one is there. So that was when I started writing again, and writing is very therapeutic for me personally. So from that day onwards till date, there was never a day in my life or a moment perhaps where I would have a thought to turn away from writing. Yeah,
that's wonderful, because I think a lot of young people also go through that stage somewhere down the line.
Yes.
Of course, the way they express, or like how you said, writing goes into therapy, it helps you.
Yes.
It's very therapeutic, and every young people go through that journey, and well, you have used that journey to pour your heart in writing, which is so wonderful. So what was your first poem about?
My first poem was about freedom fighters. The one which I've told you already, the one I wrote in school, but unfortunately I do not have a copy of it. Yes.
Okay, so what made you look into freedom fighters? Because this is at a very young age. You said, the class, when you're 2nd standard, right?
Yes, yes.
So what made you turn to write about freedom fighters? That's interesting.
Okay, so our school held a writing competition on Independence Day. That is the reason why I wrote about the freedom fighters.
Okay, so when it comes to your journey, as you started writing in the journey process, more like a therapy, what was the first, or the first inclination, the thought which came to your mind when you wrote your first poem as in growing up through that therapeutic situation?
Okay. So growing up, I've always been a different child, so to say. I've always been a different child. I see things around me in an extraordinary way. I am very fond of the art of noticing things, so I would observe, perceive things in a very extraordinary manner. That is the reason why I dive into this art of writing. I mean, I pursue in an extraordinary manner, and in order to keep records, for example, I would see a bird flying, I would write. I would see the curtains moving, I would write. The mundanity of life, so to say. When I observe, perceive the mundanity of life, the mundanity of life inspires me to write. So I pen down. The reason why I love writing is because, like, later in life, when you would want to read it again, read the poems again, the different phases that you are going through in life, it will be memorable. That is the reason why I love writing, where
That's
we can
wonderful.
read.
You know, at such a young age, you have such depth and perception. And like how you said, very true. I mean, I can just observe and see, hearing you, and I'm sure our young viewers and parents also would connect, that sometimes, you know, especially when you are different in the sense like, you know, you're not, you like your own space and you observe, and more of an introverted nature.
Yes.
Writing or any kind of hobby or something which you know, attracts you,
Yes.
gives you a lot of, you know, attraction to what you believe in, or actually helps you and pushes you to become a better person and grow.
Yes.
And hearing from you, it is also another thing which I've noticed, that you have so much of depth, and at a very, very young age again. So among your poems, which is the first one which comes very close to you, or something which you can say that it would be one of your favorites?
My favorite poem is the one I wrote recently. I wrote it last week. It is an unpublished one. When I was going through a really tough time in life, like there are phases in life where I feel like there is an inclination, or so to say, I feel mentally unstable. So I wrote a poem. And after writing that poem, I feel that my heart is at ease. It is a poem of, so to say, hope during the difficult times that I'm facing in life. Yes.
That's wonderful. And you know, it is because most of the time, again, when our young viewers see, they don't know how to do about it, and mental health is another taboo which becomes, you know, people don't talk. How much we try to do awareness programs and stuffs,
Yes.
and unfortunately it is still less spoken about, or even if it's spoken about, it's in a very harsh tone, or certain kind of judgment is always attached, which is so heartbreaking.
Yes.
But talking to young people like you, you know, the way you all are channeling your pain or the situation you're going through into art, something coming from a dark place, so to say, if I could use that,
Yes.
and bringing in so much of light, you know, for yourself. Like you said, when you read it, you just felt that you're much lighter.
Yes.
The other thing is that, you know, for listeners, young people who are struggling, listening to you, I'm hope that they feel encouraged enough to pursue whatever makes them feel healed.
Yes,
I think that is the
indeed.
entire process, to say that how we heal ourselves during the entire process, coming from the darkest of places or situations, especially in a social media situation. You know, of course there are pros and cons.
Yes.
And I think that is one way we have connected also through your social media platform of putting out your poems out there. So what made you dive into the social media aspect of, because for our young people, like I said, especially in your generation, they're more tech savvy and more, you know, social platform users
Yes,
than our
yes.
generation were. Perhaps we're still dappling with that, but your generation has been exposed from the word go, you know. So what made you dive into social media to put in your poems in social platform?
Okay, ma'am. So, talking about social media has its own pros and cons, if I would put it into words. When I first created my Instagram account, I follow all the writers, most of the writers, like to name some, Janice, Cheryl, and Vancouver, and yeah, various other local writers. So I would read their works and I feel inspired. That was when I started uploading my poems on Instagram, because see, we are a community. Every one of us falls in a community of shared pain, shared joy, shared sorrows, feelings. So the first thought that came to my mind is that when I post my poem, I feel that other people also would be able to read and relate, especially those who do not like writing, maybe. The people who would read would be able to relate to the poems, that every one of us, in one way or the other, we venture into the same experiences, yeah, same feelings, emotions.
Right. Very true, because nowadays, especially like I said, how many young people actually pick up a book and actually read, but more of what is there out there in a social media platform. So that is a very good tool, actually, how you have said that there are pros and cons.
Yes.
The pros, when you look into it, like you said, these youngsters just flip through Instagram, especially Instagram being the in most now. Facebook had its time. But now it's more of Instagram. Generation. So yeah, they would relate to more. And how were your responses? Did you get any response about your post from young people or your, say, classmates and fellow mates, your friends?
Okay.
If you could share that experience for our young viewers here.
Yes, okay. So when I upload my poems on Instagram, initially, like, it would reach out to, the first poem reach out to only a few audiences. But then later, more people came across my Instagram page, and when they start to read, I get responses like, thank you for inspiring me. This is what I really needed today. People would say that. And for me personally, as a young artist, I feel like being able to inspire even just one person also means an accomplishment.
Very true.
In life. So yes,
I think that's a very, very sound and matured way of looking at things, because like you said, inspiring one person, and you also feel very happy, is it not, when the response you get, that you know that yes, like you've said, that everyone is going through some challenges or the other.
Yes.
What about your own friends, and what about your family's role, if you could, because I think a lot of times young people, they dabble into thinking that, am I doing the right thing? Or their families, unfortunately, again, we come from a mindset where they prefer literary work is still considered as something as a hobby or something as a side hustle.
Yes.
Except until unless you've established yourself. So for young people to choose that solely, sometimes parents say, okay, you get your graduation done, or you get your, certain other professional courses, and this is something you can continue to do.
Yes.
So coming to that, how was your family's response, and how were your immediate friends and near one's response to you starting to write and choosing to write?
Okay, so basically I do not come from a literary background, but yes, my family always supports me when it comes to this passion of mine, that is writing, and I get a lot of support from my friends, my near and dear ones. So speaking about literature, most of the parents, according to my experience, like the parents I've encountered, some, they think that through literature or through writing, to be more precise, not only writing, like various other arts like painting, music, they feel like if you venture upon such fields, you won't earn a living. And they would, so to say, they would encourage their children to pursue different other fields like doctorate, engineering, as we know that parents are very fond of science field. So they think that, okay, if you pursue your passion like art, writing, music, you would never earn a living. But I think according to me personally, that mindset should not overshadow them, because if we love what we do, for me personally, if I love what I do, then I would be happy. Some people, they only think that money is everything, professional fields are everything, but that shouldn't be the case at all. Me personally, I write because I love writing, and it is my soul. It is a food to my soul. I'm sure many of our youngsters here, especially in our state, they are very talented.
True.
They are very passionate about what they're doing. So parents should encourage their children to venture in the art, in whatever art their children love, because yeah, as I've already said, at the end of the day, we should do what we love. And I'm not saying that art should overshadow all these engineering and
Or
science
education
field,
per se,
education.
right.
There should be a balance between the two, art and your educational field. You should know how to balance both. Yes.
I think you've said so nicely, and I hope our parents who are, watching this program would also feel encouraged that yes, because at the end of the day, child's happiness matters.
Yes.
But also, I think that there has been a paradigm shift. It has, and it is still changing, with a lot of young artists, and I'm talking about young artists from our own state. Like you said, they are very talented,
Yes.
but they're also pursuing, and we still need more of our local talents,
Yes.
especially because music is already booming.
Yes.
I think
yes.
music is doing wonderful. Now you'll see a lot of graphic artists coming in, a lot of young people I'm talking about. You'll see around the city there are a lot of beautiful murals being done,
Yes.
which is an encouragement for young artists, like young people to dive into art and actually be able to show their art in a very in a very not in a traditional form. So I think that is something encouraging. But I think writing, especially when you talk about our local talents in writing, more of our local language and English writers, local writers, needs to be really encouraged. I think this is somewhere we are still growing.
Yes.
Compared to other fields of art,
I agree.
especially when we look into music and things like that. So I think that is something you have put in very, very strongly, and I hope our youngsters who are listening and viewing this program today, and the parents, if they are viewing this program today, would take some takeaways from there and encourage. And for young people, such a young artist is encouraging you, follow your dreams, but also balance the thing. I think that is something is very important, especially at a younger stage when like you're doing your 12th.
Yes.
It is important to have basic education,
Yes.
so that it is working as a a backup. At least by the time you're pursuing strongly, you have something to fall back on.
Yes.
Unfortunately, if God forbid something happens.
Yes.
So I think that is a very, very strong message which you have said. I think it is very important to have this balance. Coming to now, what are your future, how do you see yourself as a writer in the near future, or how do you think you want to go? Like the genres you want to, like you said, you observe and you write,
Yes.
which is wonderful, because I think that is coming from more of heart
Yes.
and then more what is expected to. But do you sometimes feel once people start noticing you as an artist or someone who's, like we say, Instagram feed to be updated,
Yeah.
do you feel sometimes the pressure to always keep the content coming, or there has to be a write-up up, or you feel like, okay, it is okay to take a break? Because this is one challenge again,
Yes.
not only as a young artist, but as also someone who puts up content. The pressure is also comes with it. Like I said, the pros and the cons. So the responsibility also comes in
Yes.
as to, the pressure of producing something, putting it out there. So do you feel that?
Well, this is a very interesting topic to ponder upon. Initially, when I first started writing, when I started uploading my poems on Instagram, there was a time in my life where I felt that the pressure is there, that I always need to upload poems like every now and then on a regular basis. But as I grow and as I mature day by day, I feel that you should write only when you feel like writing. You should not force yourself. You should not force yourself to write when you don't feel like writing or doing anything. Don't force yourself, don't pressurize yourself, because the outcome, it won't be as fruitful as the outcome that you produce when you love while doing it. So we should be sensible enough to think that we should be sensible enough to think that we should do things only when we feel like doing. Like I'm talking about the artistic field. Like write when you feel like writing, and do not let other people's negative perception or pressures dictate your behavior.
I think this is very true what you said, because sometimes pressure again bogs you down.
Yes.
And when you say an art is someone, it has to be a natural flow.
Yes.
Because art is something you cannot quantify.
Yes.
It comes naturally, and when you're inspired or motivated to.
Yes.
So for our young viewers, I think they should also realize that follow your passion, but don't get into that negative mode,
Yes.
where instead of more healing, you go into more darkness. I think this is something very poignant to talk about,
Yes.
especially with our young people, that don't feel that pressure and not let the negativity around you again bog you down and place you in a dark space, because that is what you're challenging and you're working towards, to come, to feel that light. I think that is something one needs to go with the flow and not feel pressurized, because like I said, art cannot be quantified.
Yes.
It has to go naturally. So you have published a book. So can you talk about a bit about your book publishing and how did it happen?
Okay. So since I started writing, it has always been a dream of mine to publish a book someday. But I do not know, I do not have any contacts with any publishing house or people who are working in the publishing house. As we've already talked about social media, I am an Instagram enthusiast. I post poems on Instagram. Then one day I came across a publishing website, Bookleaf Publishing. I approached them. I was like, it has always been a dream of mine to publish a book. I sent my manuscripts and my poems, and I got accepted. But they've set certain restrictions where I'll have to only publish 21 poems. So that is the reason why I got to publish only 21 poems in this book of mine. But hopefully in the near future I would be able to publish more. And also, talking about the publishing house, I would like to encourage especially our local people to come up with publishing houses, more publishing houses, so that we will be able, not only me but various other writers too, they'll be able to publish their work without facing many troubles, like contacting people from various other
I think it becomes a more of a
regions of the world.
challenge.
Yes.
So yes, that is something, another very good takeaway. And whoever is viewing, and out there somewhere, yes, because so that our local artists get more encouraged for publishing, their art. We are running out of time, unfortunately. We can continue to talk, but before parting, would you just read just few lines,
okay,
so that, for our viewers.
So I will be reading one of my poems. The title of the poem is Some Days, and it goes like this. Some days I worry, or maybe every day. I worry too much, a little more than too much, you may say. Much more than how the moon would worry. Will the sun ever turn old? Will it be buried? To which I shall be disowned. Where shall I find light then? For I was birth poor. I shall be let to live in harmony with the folks, only till you claim destruction of deaths as your own. I worry a little too much. Will a car of mine, yours, theirs, ours, might as well swallow coastlands, shelters and sands? Will the dust no longer kiss my bedroom, if I shall be buried nakedly at the tomb? I worry if the rain will no longer paint me whilst I dance to my lullabies of pain, or if my papers and markers shall live to only die in vain. Is it too much, or too much and much more? Oh, how I wish to sleep again placidly in my mother's womb.
Oh, that's beautiful and very, very deep.
Thank you.
It is. I'm just getting goosebumps listening to it. It's beautiful. It has a little bit of darkness, but it also, again, poem is such a thing that how you look into it.
Yes.
Because it has a little bit of sadness of the challenges and
Yes.
of what life is. But I think there's also hope somewhere
Yes.
down the line. At least when you were reading it out, I just felt there's some hope in that also for something better to happen.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being a part of today's program, and it was just beautiful to talk to you. And I hope our viewers enjoyed the poem, and our young people who are watching this program today will be inspired and not feel alone. and think positively and come out of the darkness which may they go through, but at least realize there's always light in the end of the tunnel. Thank you once again for all our viewers, and thank you once again for being a part.
Thank you so much. I am truly honored.
Thank you.